The billionaire CEO's security footage shows my daughter breaking into his mansion every night to sleep in her old room. Who are you? Ryan whispered, approaching the sleeping girl on the window seat. Her eyes snapped open, startlingly blue, and completely unafraid. You know who I am, she replied with unsettling confidence. I'm Emma. Emma Turner. Turner? The name hit Ryan like a physical blow. You're Olivia's daughter? I'm your daughter too, Emma said simply. Ryan's world tilted on its axis. That's impossible. Is it? Mom says I have your eyes. And your annoying habit of thinking you're the smartest person in every room. Emma sat up, studying him with analytical precision. Though technically, right now, I am the smartest person in the room. I've been breaking into your house for 12 nights without getting caught. Your security system has 6 major vulnerabilities I exploited. Maybe you should hire better consultants. You can't be my daughter, Ryan insisted, even as his heart recognized the truth in those familiar blue eyes staring back at him. DNA would disagree with you, and so would the dates on your divorce papers. Have you ever discovered that the biggest mistake of your life wasn't what you did, but what you missed while you were doing it? This is the story of a man who traded his family for success, only to find that success means nothing when you have no one to share it with. Night after night, the security footage showed the same sequence. A small figure scaling the garden wall at exactly 11:17 p.m. A practiced hand disabling the motion sensor. A shadow slipping through the kitchen door, all to curl up in a bedroom in the east wing of the mansion, a room that had remained untouched for years. Ryan Anderson leaned forward in his leather chair, studying the footage for what must have been the 100th time. The girl's methodical movements were unsettling. She couldn't be older than 12, yet she navigated his state-of-the-art security system with unnerving precision. Even more disturbing was how she seemed to know exactly where each camera was positioned, carefully avoiding direct exposure to most of them. Play it again, Frank, Ryan instructed his head of security. Frank Reynolds nodded, rewinding the footage. His weathered face betrayed concern as he spoke. This makes 12 consecutive nights, sir. At this point, we should probably alert the authorities. Ryan watched intently as the girl reached under a loose brick by the garden path, a hiding spot only someone intimately familiar with the property would know existed, and retrieved a spare key he'd forgotten was there. No police, Ryan decided, his voice firm but quiet. I'll handle this personally. Sir, with all due respect, we don't know who this child is or what she's after. She could be casing the place for someone else. She's not stealing anything, Frank. She's just sleeping here, in that particular room. Frank's eyebrows rose slightly. The nursery, sir? It was never a nursery, Ryan corrected sharply. It was just an extra bedroom. Frank knew better than to argue the point. As you wish, sir. Shall I increase security tonight? No. I want to speak with her myself. Send the overnight staff home early. I'll wait for her. After Frank left, Ryan stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his Seattle mansion, a tumbler of 30-year-old scotch in his hand. The city lights sparkled below, a view he paid $17 million to enjoy. At 41, Ryan Anderson had built Horizon Technologies from a startup in his garage to a $70 billion empire. His face graced the covers of business magazines. Forbes had him at number 11 on their billionaires list. The Wall Street Journal called him the tech visionary of his generation. Ryan had everything a man could want. Everything he'd sacrificed everything else to achieve. So why did watching this child sleep in that particular bedroom fill him with such unease? Why did it feel like the past was reaching out to grab him by the throat? He drained the scotch and set down the glass with determination. Tonight, he would wait for her. Across the city in a modern but modest townhouse, Olivia Turner rubbed her temples as she reviewed architectural plans for her newest project, a sustainable community center in downtown Seattle. At 38, she transformed Turner Designs from a one-woman operation working out of her dining room to one of the city's premier architectural firms. The rings under her eyes spoke of late nights and early mornings, of the price paid for success as a single mother with a reputation for perfection. Her phone buzzed with a text from her daughter. Staying late at Zoe's for study group. Home by 9. Love you. Olivia smiled, texting back a quick, love you too. Don't forget your math binder this time. Emma was the responsible one, straight-A student, junior chess champion, and remarkably self-sufficient for a 12-year-old. Being a single mother hadn't been easy, but they built a good life together, one defined by mutual respect and understanding. The office phone rang, interrupting her concentration. Turner Designs. Olivia? It's Amanda from Westlake Academy. The administrator's voice carried a note of concern that immediately sent Olivia's heart rate spiking. Is Emma okay? Maternal panic flared instantly. She's fine, but have you picked her up yet? Olivia frowned, glancing at the text message still open on her phone. Emma texted she was at her friend Zoe's house for a study group. I'm looking at Emma right now. She missed the bus and she's waiting in my office. The world tilted beneath Olivia's feet, the architectural plans before her suddenly meaningless. In 12 years, Emma had never lied to her, not once. I'll be right there. Driving to the school, Olivia's mind raced through possibilities. Was Emma in some kind of trouble? Was she being bullied? The most terrifying thought of all, had Emma somehow discovered the truth about her father? The secret Olivia had guarded so carefully for 12 years? When she arrived at the school, Emma was sitting in the administrator's office, her backpack clutched tightly to her chest. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail, her blue eyes, so like her father's, clouded with something Olivia couldn't quite identify. Emma, Olivia said, the single word carrying a wealth of questions. Mom, I'm sorry, Emma said immediately. My phone died, so I couldn't text you that I missed the bus. It was a plausible explanation, reasonable, except for the slight tremor in Emma's voice, the way her fingers clutched the straps of her backpack too tightly. Let's talk about it at home, Olivia said simply, thanking Amanda and guiding Emma to the car. The drive home was quiet, Emma staring out the window, Olivia stealing glances at her daughter's profile. How had she not noticed before just how much Emma resembled Ryan? The same determined set to her jaw, the same analytical gaze, even the way she furrowed her brow slightly when deep in thought. Zoe called the house looking for you, Olivia said finally, breaking the silence. About an hour ago. Emma's shoulders tensed visibly. I can explain. I'm listening. But Emma remained silent for the rest of the drive, and Olivia didn't push. There would be time for explanations later. For now, the knowledge that her daughter was safe beside her was enough. That night, after a dinner of uncomfortable silence and vague explanations about needing some time alone, Emma retreated to her room. Olivia gave her space, waiting until the light under Emma's door went out before quietly turning the knob and stepping inside. Emma's breathing was too even, too measured. She was pretending to sleep. Olivia sat gently on the edge of the bed, brushing a strand of blonde hair from her daughter's forehead. Whatever it is, Emma, we can figure it out together. We always have. She waited, but Emma maintained her sleeping charade. With a sigh, Olivia stood and moved around the room, straightening books on shelves, picking up discarded socks. It was then that she noticed Emma's desk drawer wasn't fully closed. On impulse, driven by maternal concern rather than distrust, Olivia slid the drawer open. Inside was a small leather-bound notebook, the kind Emma used for her special projects. Olivia hesitated, the weight of her daughter's privacy pressing against her conscience. But the fear of what might be troubling Emma won out. She opened the notebook. What she read inside made her blood run cold. Day 12. Still haven't been caught. The house feels different at night. I wonder if he ever thinks about what happened here. About Mom. About me. The room still has my stars on the ceiling. Olivia's hand trembled. The stars. The constellations she had painted on the ceiling of Emma's nursery in Ryan Anderson's mansion. The home they had shared before he decided that a family didn't fit with his vision for the future. Before he'd walked away without ever knowing that Olivia was carrying his child. Looking back at the sleeping form of her daughter, Olivia felt the careful construction of their life together begin to crumble. Emma knew. Somehow, she had discovered who her father was. And worse, she had been going to his house, breaking in, sleeping in the room that should have been hers. Olivia closed the notebook and returned it to the drawer. She had some difficult decisions to make before morning. If you've ever had a life-altering secret come to light unexpectedly, you know the gut-wrenching feeling Olivia experienced in that moment. Sometimes the walls we build to protect the people we love end up becoming the very barriers that keep them from the truth they need. Across the city, in his sprawling mansion overlooking Lake Washington, Ryan Anderson positioned himself in shadows, waiting. The house was quiet. He had sent the staff home early, had disabled the alarm system himself. Now there was nothing to do but wait. At exactly 11:17 p.m., just as the security footage had shown for the past 12 nights, the security panel by the kitchen door beeped softly as someone entered the code. The door opened, and a small figure slipped inside with practiced confidence. Ryan watched, barely breathing, as she moved through his home like she owned it. She paused in the grand foyer, her flashlight briefly illuminating the spiral staircase. She moved toward it, avoiding the pressure sensor that Ryan knew was embedded in the third tile from the left, something only he and the security company should have known about. Ryan followed at a distance as she made her way upstairs, noting how she carefully avoided the creaky floorboard on the second-floor landing. Again, something only someone who had lived in this house would know to do. The girl entered the east bedroom, what had once been designed as a nursery but never used, and closed the door behind her. Ryan waited 10 minutes, giving her time to settle, before quietly turning the handle. She lay curled on the window seat, fast asleep, a flashlight and backpack beside her. In sleep, her features relaxed, and Ryan felt an unexpected jolt of recognition. Her blonde hair, the shape of her face, the small furrow between her brows as she dreamed, all strikingly familiar. He approached slowly, careful not to startle her. On the window seat beside her lay an open sketchbook filled with detailed architectural drawings, precise perspectives of his house from memory, with notes about security camera positions and patrol schedules. "Who are you?" he whispered, more to himself than to her. The girl's eyes opened, startlingly blue and instantly alert. Instead of fear at being discovered, Ryan saw defiance in her gaze. "You know who I am," she said with quiet certainty. "I'm Emma. Emma Turner." The name hit Ryan like a physical blow. Turner, as in Olivia Turner, the woman he had married 13 years ago, the talented architect who had designed this very house. The wife he had discarded when his company took off, and he decided family life would hold him back. "Turner," he repeated, his voice sounding strange to his own ears. "You're Olivia's daughter." "I'm your daughter too," Emma said. The world stopped. Ryan stared at the girl, at Emma, his mind refusing to process what she had just said. It wasn't possible. He and Olivia had tried for a child, yes, but there had never been. Olivia would have told him if. "That's not possible," he said finally, his voice hoarse. Emma sat up, tucking the sketchbook into her backpack. "Mom was pregnant when you left her. She found out a couple of weeks later. She tried to call you, but you'd changed your number. Your lawyer told her you didn't want any contact." The matter-of-fact way she delivered this life-altering information was startling. There was no accusation in her tone, just a recitation of facts as she understood them. "How do you know all this?" Ryan asked. "Mom told me when I asked about my father. She doesn't lie to me." The implied contrast between Olivia and himself wasn't lost on Ryan. "And you decided to break into my house because?" Emma looked around the room, her gaze lingering on the ceiling where faint outlines of painted constellations were still visible, despite attempts to paint over them. "I wanted to see where I was supposed to grow up. Mom designed this room for me." She looked back at Ryan, those blue eyes, his eyes, studying him with unsettling intensity. "I wanted to understand why you left us." Before Ryan could respond, the security system chimed, indicating someone had entered the front door. Moments later, a familiar voice echoed through the mansion. "Emma, Emma." "Up here," Ryan called, his gaze still locked with Emma's. Footsteps pounded up the stairs, and then Olivia Turner burst into the room, her face pale with fear. 12 years had transformed her. The uncertain young architect was gone, replaced by a woman of confidence and accomplishment. Her dark hair was shorter now, her style more polished, but her eyes were the same, fierce, intelligent, and currently filled with terror for her child. "Emma," she breathed, rushing to her daughter's side. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, Mom," Emma said, leaning into her mother's embrace. "We were just talking." Olivia looked up at Ryan then, and the weight of 12 years of secrets and silence hung between them. "I got a call from your security company." Apparently, Emma triggered an alarm they weren't supposed to notify me about. "Frank was following protocol," Ryan said, struggling to keep his voice steady. "Were you ever going to tell me?" Olivia's posture stiffened, her arm tightening around Emma's shoulders. "This isn't how I wanted you to find out." "Find out? That I have a daughter? A daughter who's been breaking into my house for almost 2 weeks?" Ryan's voice rose with each question. 12 years, Olivia. 12 years of her life that I've missed. You made it very clear you didn't want a family when you left, Olivia said, her composure returning. I was just respecting your wishes. I didn't know you were pregnant. Would it have made a difference? Olivia asked, her voice steady, but her eyes challenging. You told me your company needed to be your only focus. That marriage was holding you back, that you needed to be unencumbered. Ryan had no answer. The truth was, he didn't know if it would have changed his decision 12 years ago. At 29, building Horizon had consumed him entirely. The pressure of proving himself, of escaping his working-class background, had overshadowed everything else, including his marriage to the brilliant architect whose own career was just beginning to flourish. I'd like to take my daughter home now, Olivia said, the emphasis on my unmistakable. She's my daughter too, Ryan replied softly. Biologically, yes. But being a father is about more than DNA, Ryan. Olivia moved toward the door, guiding Emma with her. It's about being there. Every day. For 12 years. Mom, Emma said, resisting slightly. I want to talk to him. Not tonight, Emma. We're going home. Ryan watched helplessly as Olivia led Emma from the room. At the doorway, Emma glanced back, her expression unreadable. Then they were gone, leaving Ryan alone in the nursery that had never been used, beneath stars painted for a child he had never known existed. The front door closed with a decisive click that echoed through the empty mansion. Ryan sat heavily on the window seat where his daughter had been sleeping minutes before. His daughter? The concept was so foreign, so unexpected, that his mind could barely wrap around it. He picked up Emma's sketchbook, which had fallen to the floor in the chaos. Flipping through it, he saw detailed drawings of his house from multiple angles, security system schematics, and notes on staff routines. The precision was impressive, methodical, analytical, thorough, just like him. But there was something else in the notebook too. On several pages, Emma had sketched what the nursery might have looked like if it had been completed. Crib by the window, bookshelves filled with children's classics, toys organized by type and color, a rocking chair in the corner. And on the ceiling, the constellations Olivia had started painting but never finished. Orion, Cassiopeia, Ursa Major, the stars that would have watched over their child's sleep. Ryan closed the book, his throat tight with emotions he couldn't name. He had a daughter. A brilliant, resourceful, determined daughter who had broken into his house just to understand her own origin story. And he had missed everything. Her birth, her first steps, her first words. 12 years of birthdays and Christmas mornings, of skin knees and bedtime stories, of chess tournaments and science projects. All because he'd been too focused on building his empire to consider what he was sacrificing in the process. The irony wasn't lost on him. He'd left Olivia because he'd convinced himself a family would hold him back, would prevent him from achieving his full potential. Yet here he was, at the pinnacle of success, rich, powerful, acclaimed, and utterly alone in a mansion designed for a family that had never materialized. Except, it had materialized, just without him. 3 days had passed since the confrontation in the nursery. 3 days of sleepless nights and distracted days for Ryan Anderson, CEO of Horizon Technologies. 3 days of staring at his phone, willing it to ring with a call from Olivia or Emma. Now, sitting in his corner office 52 stories above Seattle, Ryan stared at the paternity test results in his hands. 99.9998% probability. Not that he had doubted it, he had known the moment he looked into Emma's eyes. Those were his eyes looking back at him, his mother's chin, his father's analytical gaze. Michael Lane, Ryan's oldest friend and business partner, sat across from him, concern evident in his expression. They had met in college, two scholarship kids with big dreams and empty bank accounts. Michael was the only person who had known Ryan before the money, before the success, the only person who could speak to him with complete honesty. "What are you going to do?" Michael asked, breaking the silence. Ryan set the papers down carefully, as if they might shatter. "I don't know," he admitted. "She's been coming to the house because she wanted to understand where she came from, who I am." Olivia had photos, told her stories, but Emma needed to see for herself, Michael finished. "Sounds like she has your determination." And Olivia's methodical mind. "You should see her notebooks, detailed plans for breaking in, avoiding security, everything mapped out like an architectural project." There was unmistakable pride in Ryan's voice. Michael leaned forward, studying his friend. Ryan, I've known you for 20 years. I've seen you build this company from nothing. But in all that time, I've never seen you look at anything the way you looked at that girl's photo. What are you talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about. You've built your life around the idea that nothing matters as much as horizon. But one look at this kid's picture, and suddenly the quarterly projections might as well be written in invisible ink. Ryan ran a hand through his hair, a rare gesture of uncertainty from a man known for his unshakable confidence. I've missed 12 years, Mike. 12 birthdays, first days of school, lost teeth, nightmares, Christmas mornings. How do I come back from that? You can't get those years back, Michael said gently, but you can be there for the next 12. The question is, are you willing to make the changes necessary to do that? If Olivia allows it. Olivia Turner is many things, but vindictive isn't one of them. She protected Emma from being disappointed by an absent father, but now that you know, Michael shrugged. The question isn't whether Olivia will let you into Emma's life. It's whether you're ready to put someone else before yourself and your company. Ryan was saved from responding by the chime of his phone, an incoming text from an unknown number. We need to talk about Emma. Can you meet tomorrow? Olivia. He showed the message to Michael, who nodded approvingly. See? Olivia's already reaching out. The ball's in your court now, my friend. After Michael left, Ryan stood at his office windows, looking out over the Seattle skyline. The empire he had built stretched out below him, Horizon's main campus dominating 3 city blocks. The logo he had designed himself illuminated against the gray sky. It had all seemed so important once. Worth any sacrifice. Now, for the first time in 12 years, Ryan found himself wondering if he had made the right choice after all. The coffee shop was neutral territory, a small, quiet place halfway between Ryan's office and Olivia's firm. Ryan arrived 15 minutes early, securing a booth in the back where they wouldn't be easily recognized. The last thing either of them needed was the tech press getting wind of this story. Olivia arrived exactly on time, as she always had. She was dressed in a tailored blue suit that spoke of her professional success, her dark hair now cut in a sleek bob that framed her face perfectly. Ryan felt a pang of something like regret as he watched her scan the room, locate him, and approach with determined steps. "Thank you for meeting me," she said, sliding into the booth. "How is she?" Ryan asked immediately, not bothering with small talk. Grounded for the foreseeable future, Olivia replied with a small smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "But otherwise, fine. Relieved, actually. She's been carrying this secret for too long." "Why did she do it? Break into the house?" Olivia's fingers tapped against her coffee cup, a nervous habit Ryan remembered from their marriage. "She found some old photos a few months ago. Pictures of us, of the house when it was being built. She recognized your face from business news. She's always been curious about you, but lately, it became more urgent. She wanted to understand the man who helped create her." Ryan nodded slowly, processing this. "And what did she learn, breaking into my house night after night?" "That's something you'd have to ask her." Olivia took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders slightly. "Which is why I'm here. Emma wants to meet you. Officially. You'd allow that?" "It's not about what I allow, Ryan. She's her own person, with her own needs and curiosity. I can't protect her from who she is or where she came from." Olivia met his gaze directly. "But I will protect her from being hurt. If you're going to meet her, if you want to have any relationship with her, you need to understand something fundamental. She comes first. Not your company, not your schedule, not your convenience." "I understand." "Do you? Because 12 years ago, you made it very clear that your priorities lay elsewhere." "I was a different person then." "Were you? Or were you just more honest about your priorities?" Olivia's voice was calm but unyielding. "Emma is brilliant, sensitive, and fierce in her attachments. She doesn't give her trust easily, but when she does, it's complete. I won't let her be discarded when something more important comes along." Ryan felt the weight of Olivia's judgment, the accumulated pain of 12 years standing between them. "I made a terrible mistake walking away from you," he said quietly. "I didn't understand what I was giving up, but I'm not asking to disrupt your lives. I just want a chance to know my daughter." Olivia studied him for a long moment. "Saturday, noon. We'll meet at the park near our house. She slid a paper across the table with an address. Don't be late. And Ryan? This isn't about us. This is about Emma. With that, she stood and left, leaving Ryan with a coffee he hadn't touched and an address that represented both a second chance and a terrifying new challenge. Back at Horizon Technologies, Ryan called his executive assistant into his office. I need you to clear my schedule for Saturday. All day. But sir, you have the board meeting at 11 and the investors' lunch at. Cancel it all. Family emergency. The words felt strange in his mouth. Family. For 12 years, he had been a man without attachments, dedicated solely to his company. Now, suddenly, he was someone's father. The responsibility of it was overwhelming. Family emergency, his assistant repeated, confusion evident. In 7 years working for Ryan, she had never heard him mention family. Yes, it's personal. Of course, sir. I'll reschedule everything. She hesitated at the door. Is everything all right, Mr. Anderson? Ryan looked up from his desk, a strange expression crossing his face. I don't know yet, but I think it might be. Saturday arrived with perfect Seattle weather, overcast but not raining, the air crisp with early autumn. Ryan arrived at the park 20 minutes early, too nervous to sit in his car any longer. He changed clothes 3 times before settling on dark jeans and a simple button-down shirt, trying to look approachable, not like the intimidating CEO whose face appeared on magazine covers. At precisely noon, he spotted them walking across the park. Olivia had her arm around Emma's shoulders, both of them dressed casually in jeans and light jackets. As they got closer, Ryan could see the tension in Olivia's posture, the mix of excitement and apprehension on Emma's face. Hi, Olivia said, stopping a few feet away. Emma, this is Ryan Anderson. Ryan, this is Emma. We've met, Emma said with surprising humor. But not under ideal circumstances. Olivia gave her daughter a warning look before turning to Ryan. I'll be over there, she said, pointing to a bench about 50 yards away. Take your time. As Olivia walked away, Emma sat down on the nearest bench, her back straight, hands folded in her lap, a posture that reminded Ryan painfully of himself during board meetings. She wore jeans, a blue sweater, and an expression of careful neutrality that couldn't quite mask her nervousness. Hi, Ryan said, sitting beside her, leaving careful space between them. Hi, Emma replied, studying him openly. You're shorter in person than you look on Bloomberg TV. A surprised laugh escaped him. Camera angles are deceptive. I know. I calculated the optimal viewing angles for your security cameras. You should reconfigure the one at the southeast corner. There's a 6-foot blind spot. Ryan shook his head in amazement. You're definitely your mother's daughter. And yours, Emma said simply. Mom says I get my stubbornness from you, and my eyes. You do have my eyes, Ryan agreed softly. What else did your mom tell you about me? Emma considered the question carefully, her analytical mind visibly working. That you're brilliant with technology. That you designed your first circuit board at 8. That you can't cook anything except scrambled eggs. That you loved her once, but loved your company more. The directness of her assessment left Ryan momentarily speechless. She said that. Not in those words. But I'm good at reading between lines. Emma tilted her head. Is it true? Which part? That you loved your company more. Ryan looked across the park, where Olivia waited at a distance, giving them privacy while remaining visible. At the time, I thought I was making the right choice. I came from nothing, Emma. My dad fixed cars. My mom cleaned houses. I was the first person in my family to go to college. When Horizon started taking off, it felt like my only chance to prove myself, to build something significant. And if family wasn't significant? The question, asked without accusation but with genuine curiosity, cut straight to his core. I didn't understand then that the most significant things aren't always the most visible. Ryan said finally, success is easy to measure. Money, recognition, achievement. Family is harder to quantify, but matters more in the end. Emma nodded, absorbing his words. I have a chess tournament next Saturday. Regionals. You could come, if you want. The casual invitation felt like an unexpected gift. I'd like that very much. It starts at 9 a.m. Don't be late. I'm playing first board. I'll be there. Ryan hesitated, then broached the subject that had been weighing on him. Emma, about the breaking in. I know it was wrong, she said quickly. Mom already grounded me for a month. No chess club except for tournaments, no coding class, no internet except for homework. That sounds fair. But I'm curious, why that room? Why the nursery? Emma looked down at her hands. Because it was supposed to be mine? Mom told me she designed it when she was pregnant, but you sold the house before I was born. I wanted to see it, to sleep where I was meant to sleep, to understand what might have been. The simple honesty of her answer broke something open in Ryan's chest. I'm sorry, Emma. I'm sorry I missed knowing you. I'm sorry I wasn't there. You're here now, she said pragmatically. The question is whether you'll stay. The challenge in her words was unmistakable. Emma Turner might be only 12 years old, but she had clearly inherited both her parents' intelligence and directness. I will, Ryan promised, meaning it with every fiber of his being. I'm not going anywhere. Emma studied him for a long moment, as if assessing the truth of his statement. Good, she said finally. Because I have questions, lots of questions, and I want honest answers. Ask me anything. Not today. Today was just to see if you'd show up. Emma stood up. But you did? That's a start. Ryan watched as she walked back to Olivia, saying something that made her mother smile. They left together, Emma turning once to wave before they disappeared around the bend. It wasn't much, a 30-minute conversation, a chess tournament invitation, but it was a beginning. And for the first time in 12 years, Ryan felt like he might have a chance to fix the biggest mistake of his life. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to discover you had a child you never knew existed? To realize that while you were building empires and chasing success, the most important part of your legacy was growing up without you? If you have, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for the next part of this emotional journey. Ryan Anderson had attended board meetings with trillion-dollar implications. He had testified before Congress. He had negotiated mergers that changed the technology landscape. None of that had prepared him for the nerve-wracking experience of walking into his daughter's chess tournament. The community center was packed with parents, siblings, and chess enthusiasts. Ryan felt conspicuously out of place in his casual clothes. He had deliberately avoided anything that screamed billionaire CEO, opting instead for jeans and a plain sweater. Still, he noticed curious glances as he made his way through the crowd, looking for Emma. He spotted Olivia first, sitting near the front with a program in hand. She looked up as he approached, surprise flickering across her face. You came, she said simply. I promised I would. Ryan glanced around. Where's Emma? Warming up with her coach. Her match starts in 15 minutes. Olivia hesitated, then moved her purse from the chair beside her. You can sit here if you want. Better view of her board. Ryan accepted the invitation, acutely aware of the whispers around them. He was used to being recognized, but this felt different, more personal, more invasive. People are staring, he murmured to Olivia. That's because Emma's been playing in these tournaments for 3 years, and you've never been here before, Olivia replied, her voice neutral. They're curious. Before Ryan could respond, Emma appeared, dressed in a navy blazer with her school's crest. She looked nervous but determined, scanning the crowd until she spotted them. A small smile flickered across her face when she saw Ryan, followed by a quick nod of acknowledgement. She looks confident, Ryan observed. She's Seattle Junior Champion 3 years running, Olivia said, pride evident in her voice. But this is regionals. The competition is much tougher. The tournament began, and Ryan watched in amazement as his daughter, his child, played with a strategic brilliance that left him breathless. Her focus was absolute, her moves calculated and precise. He could see his own analytical mind in her gameplay, but there was something else too, an intuitive creativity that reminded him of Olivia. She's incredible, he whispered. She gets that from both of us, Olivia admitted. Your strategic thinking, my spatial awareness. When Emma won her first match, Ryan had to stop himself from cheering too loudly. He caught her eye across the room, giving her a thumbs up that she returned with a small smile before heading to her next board. Throughout the day, between matches, Ryan found himself in conversations with Olivia that felt almost normal. They discussed Emma's school, her interests, her personality. For brief moments, the weight of their shared past lifted, replaced by the simple camaraderie of two parents proud of their child. Emma placed second overall, losing only in the final match to a 16-year-old state champion. When she joined them afterward, her disappointment was evident despite her attempts to hide it. You were amazing, Ryan said sincerely. I miscalculated on the queenside attack, Emma replied, analyzing her loss with brutal honesty. I should have anticipated his night maneuver. You'll get him next time, Olivia assured her, giving her a side hug. Are you hungry? We usually get pizza after tournaments. Starving, Emma admitted. There's a great place around the corner, Olivia said, then looked at Ryan with hesitation. You're welcome to join us, if you want. The invitation hung in the air between them, casual yet monumental. I'd like that, Ryan said simply. That pizza dinner marked the beginning of a careful, cautious rebuilding. Over the next 2 months, Ryan attended school presentations, science fairs, and weekly dinners that slowly evolved from awkward to comfortable. He learned that Emma loved quantum physics and architectural design in equal measure, that she hated olives but loved pineapple on pizza, that she had her mother's laugh and his tendency to get lost in thought mid-conversation. Emma, for her part, studied Ryan with the same analytical intensity he applied to new technologies. She asked questions about his childhood, his company, his decisions. She showed him her projects, her chess strategies, her architectural sketches. Slowly, carefully, they began to build a relationship on their shared traits and interests. Olivia maintained a careful distance, facilitating their relationship while protecting Emma from potential disappointment. She was cordial but guarded with Ryan, the wounds of their past still evident in the way she held herself apart. 2 months after the chess tournament, Ryan stood in the doorway of his home office, watching as Emma and Olivia spread architectural plans across his dining room table. He had invited them over to use the larger space for Emma's school project, a redesign of a public space that combined her interests in architecture and environmental science. The sight of them together, heads bent in concentration, highlighted similarities he'd never noticed before. The way they both tucked hair behind their ear when focusing, the small furrow between their brows when contemplating a problem. The support beam won't work there, Emma was saying, pointing to the blueprint. The load-bearing calculations are off. When did you become a structural engineer? Olivia asked, amused. Last month. I've been reading your textbooks. Ryan smiled, remembering his own childhood obsession with technical manuals. He cleared his throat softly, announcing his presence. Olivia looked up, catching his gaze. We need a fresh perspective. Emma's redesigning the guest house. My perspective hasn't been requested since 2010, Ryan replied, joining them at the table. That's because you wanted to put a server room in the kitchen, Olivia retorted, but her tone held no bitterness, just the easy familiarity that had begun to return between them. Emma pushed the plans toward him. What would you do with the space? Ryan studied the drawings, impressed by his daughter's technical skill. What's the intention behind the redesign? I need a proper workspace for my projects, Emma explained, and somewhere Grandpa can stay when he visits that isn't Mom's couch. Ryan nodded thoughtfully, making a few quick annotations. You could cantilever this section to create more interior space without expanding the footprint. Olivia leaned over to examine his suggestion, her shoulder brushing against his. That's actually brilliant. Don't sound so surprised. I did learn a few things living with an architectural genius for 3 years. Their eyes met briefly before Olivia looked away. The past 2 months had focused entirely on building Ryan's relationship with Emma. They had carefully avoided any discussion of their own history, maintaining the fiction that they were simply co-parents navigating a complicated situation. I'm starving, Emma announced, breaking the moment. Can we order pizza? I need to get home, Olivia said, gathering her things. I have an early meeting tomorrow. Stay, Ryan said impulsively, for dinner. We could all eat together. The invitation hung in the air, weighted with unspoken meaning. Olivia hesitated, then nodded. Okay, but no pineapple on the pizza. One time, Ryan groaned. I ordered pineapple one time. Emma looked between them, a small smile playing at her lips. I'll call it in, she said, slipping out of the room with suspicious eagerness. Alone, Ryan and Olivia faced each other across the table. She's playing matchmaker, Olivia said quietly. I noticed. Subtle, she is not. Ryan, we need to be careful. Emma's getting attached to this idea of us, somehow. Would that be so terrible? The question slipped out before he could stop it. Olivia's expression softened. We're different people now. You're running a global tech company. I have my own firm. We have separate lives. That now intersect through Emma. Yes, but The truth is, I never stopped loving you, Liv, Ryan said, finally voicing what had been building for weeks. Walking away was the biggest mistake of my life, even before I knew about Emma. You can't just say things like that. Why not? It's the truth. Because we can't go backward, Olivia said, her voice unsteady. What happened broke something fundamental between us. You chose your company over our marriage. I'm not asking to go backward. I'm talking about going forward, differently this time. Ryan moved around the table to stand before her. These past 2 months, watching you with Emma, seeing the life you built, the success you've achieved. I'm in awe of you, Olivia. You became everything I always knew you could be, without me holding you back. You didn't hold me back, Olivia said softly. That was always your fear, not mine. Then what was your fear? Olivia looked away. That I wasn't enough. That our life together wasn't enough to compete with the allure of becoming Ryan Anderson, tech visionary. The truth of her words struck him like a physical blow. You were always enough, Liv. I was the one who wasn't enough, wasn't mature enough, wise enough, to understand what really mattered. Pizza's ordered, Emma announced, returning with perfect dramatic timing. 30 minutes. And I got breadsticks. Ryan stepped back, the moment broken, but not forgotten. Perfect. That gives us time to fix your cantilever calculations, which, by the way, would collapse the entire West Wing. Would not, Emma protested. Would too, Olivia countered, grateful for the interruption. Your father's right about that, at least. The evening concluded with pizza, laughter, and a careful dance of old feelings and new boundaries. When Olivia and Emma left, Ryan found himself standing in his empty mansion, realizing how hollow his success felt without them to share it with. The next morning, Ryan called an emergency meeting with his executive team. I need to restructure my schedule, he announced. Effective immediately. Sir? His KO looked confused. I've been missing important things while focused on growing Horizon. That changes now. I want Wednesdays and Fridays restructured to allow me to leave by 4. I'll be unavailable on weekends unless there's a genuine crisis. Is everything okay, Ryan? Asked Sarah, his longtime CFO. Everything's better than okay, Ryan replied with certainty. I'm finally getting my priorities straight. Over the next few months, Ryan's new schedule allowed him to be present for Emma in ways he hadn't thought possible. He attended parent-teacher conferences. He coached her chess strategy. He helped with science projects and took her to museums and technology exhibitions. He learned how to be a father, not perfect, but present, engaged, and committed. Olivia watched this transformation with cautious optimism. The man who had walked away from their marriage because it interfered with his ambitions was now rearranging board meetings to attend Emma's school play. It was encouraging, but also confusing for her heart, which had never fully recovered from his abandonment. 4 months into this new arrangement, a crisis arose. Horizon's Asian markets were in turmoil after a competitor's surprise product launch. Ryan's executive team insisted he fly to Tokyo immediately for emergency meetings with investors and partners. I can't, Ryan said firmly. Emma has her science fair finals this weekend. I promised I'd be there. Ryan, this is a potential $5 billion problem, his COO insisted. And my daughter is an infinite value priority, Ryan replied without hesitation. Michael can handle the Tokyo meetings. I'll join virtually for anything critical. That evening, he called Olivia to explain the situation. You're skipping Tokyo? She asked incredulously. For a middle school science fair? Yes. The Ryan I knew would have been on the first plane out. The Ryan you knew was a fool who didn't understand what mattered. He paused. I meant what I said, Olivia. I'm not making the same mistakes again. Emma comes first now. The silence on the other end of the line stretched for several seconds before Olivia spoke again, her voice soft. She'll be glad you'll be there. She's nervous about her presentation. She'll be brilliant. She always is. Another pause. Thank you, Ryan. For what? For being the father she deserves. If you've ever had to choose between career success and family priorities, you understand the weight of Ryan's decision. Sometimes the most important business deals aren't the ones that make millions, but the ones that build relationships worth more than any amount of money. If this resonates with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about the choices that truly define our lives. 6 months after Emma first broke into Ryan's mansion, the three of them had established a rhythm. Emma split her time between her mother's townhouse and her father's mansion, though she didn't stay overnight at Ryan's yet, a boundary Olivia maintained and Ryan respected. They celebrated Emma's 13th birthday together, an awkward but meaningful occasion that marked the first year Ryan hadn't missed. The gala event for Horizon's charitable foundation filled the grand ballroom of Seattle's finest hotel. Ryan moved through the crowd, accepting congratulations on the foundation's latest initiative, a technology education program for underprivileged youth that Emma had helped design. "We're reaching 1,000 students in underserved communities this year," Ryan explained to a group of investors. The curriculum combines coding, engineering, and entrepreneurship, with mentorship from Horizon engineers. What he didn't mention was that the program had been Emma's idea, born from her passionate belief that technology education should be available to everyone, not just those who could afford expensive, private schools like hers. He spotted her across the room, looking grown up and slightly uncomfortable in a navy blue dress, deep in conversation with Michael about quantum computing. "You look proud," Olivia said, appearing beside him in a simple black dress that took his breath away. "I am. She's extraordinary." "She is," Olivia agreed, "though I'm still not sure bringing a 13-year-old to a black tie gala was the best idea. She insisted on coming. Something about networking opportunities." "She gets that from you," Olivia said, watching as their daughter confidently handed a business card to the dean of MIT's engineering school. "The ambition, maybe. The poise is all you." Ryan hesitated, then asked the question that had been on his mind for weeks. "Are you happy, Liv, with how things have worked out?" Olivia considered the question seriously. "I'm happy Emma has you in her life, that she doesn't have to break into mansions to feel connected to her father. And beyond that, are you happy with us? This arrangement we've created?" The 6 months since Emma had entered Ryan's life had transformed them all. Family dinners twice weekly, weekend projects at Ryan's house. A careful, cautious rebuilding of trust and connection that extended beyond their shared daughter. "I'm still afraid," Olivia admitted. "Old patterns are hard to break. What happens when Horizon needs you in Tokyo for a month? When the next big acquisition requires your full attention?" "I would ask you and Emma to come with me," Ryan said simply. "Or I'd turn it down. Or find another solution that doesn't involve sacrificing what matters most." "And what matters most now, Ryan?" "You know the answer to that." He took her hand gently. "It's always been you, Liv, even when I was too blind to see it." Across the room, Emma caught sight of her parents, noting their linked hands with a poorly concealed smile of triumph. "Our daughter is watching us like a scientist observing a successful experiment," Olivia murmured. "She gets that from both of us," Ryan replied. "The question is, are we going to prove her hypothesis correct?" Olivia's fingers tightened around his. "I think we already have." The moment was interrupted by a commotion at the entrance to the ballroom. Ryan looked up to see a flurry of photographers and reporters gathering around a tall, distinguished man in an impeccably tailored suit. "Who's that?" Olivia asked. "James Hawthorne," Ryan replied, tensing slightly. "CEO of Nexus Systems, our biggest competitor." "What's he doing here?" "Creating a PR opportunity, most likely. His company just announced a new AI platform that's directly competing with our flagship product." As if sensing Ryan's gaze, Hawthorne looked up and smiled coldly across the room. Then, deliberately, he began making his way toward them. "Dr. Turner," Hawthorne said smoothly, addressing Olivia first. "I've admired your work on the Seattle Arts Center. Revolutionary use of sustainable materials." "Thank you," Olivia replied cautiously. "And Anderson, always a pleasure." The insincerity in Hawthorne's voice was palpable. "I was just telling the press about Nexus's new expansion into Asia. Tokyo, specifically. I believe that used to be Horizon's territory." Ryan felt the familiar surge of competitive drive, the need to defend his company, to counter Hawthorne's obvious provocation. 6 months ago, he would have risen to the bait, would have spent the rest of the evening strategizing a countermove instead of focusing on his family. "Congratulations," Ryan said instead. "Tokyo's a beautiful city. My daughter and I were just discussing taking a family trip there next summer. Emma's particularly interested in the robotics institutes." The casual mention of family seemed to throw Hawthorne off balance. "I wasn't aware you had a daughter." "There's a lot you don't know about me," Ryan said simply. Now, if you'll excuse us, this is a charity event for underprivileged children, not a business meeting. I'm sure the press would be more interested in your contribution to the foundation than in corporate rivalries. Hawthorne's smile tightened. Of course. Always thinking of others, Anderson. Your reputation for philanthropy is well-deserved. After Hawthorne moved on, Olivia looked at Ryan with new respect. You handled that well. The old Ryan would have taken the bait, he acknowledged. But I have more important things to focus on now. Like what? Like asking you to dance with me, Ryan said, extending his hand. If you're willing. Olivia hesitated, then placed her hand in his. One dance. For Emma's sake. Of course. For Emma. But as they moved onto the dance floor, the familiar way Olivia fit against him, the subtle scent of her perfume, the same she'd worn when they were married, made it clear to both of them that this was about more than co-parenting. Remember the first time we danced? Ryan asked softly. The charity auction. You bid an obscene amount on a dance with the architect redesigning the Morrison building. Best $15,000 I ever spent. You didn't even know what I looked like. I knew your work. That was enough. Olivia's expression softened with the memory. You said my designs showed a soul that understood balance, function, and beauty in equal measure. No one had ever described my work that way before. I meant it then. And your work has only grown more beautiful since. They danced in silence for a moment, the years between them simultaneously vast and non-existent. I was so angry with you, Ryan, Olivia said finally. For so long. You had every right to be. But I never hated you. That's what scared me the most. Even after everything, some part of me still. She trailed off, but Ryan understood. Some connections couldn't be severed, not completely, no matter how much pain lay between them. I don't deserve a second chance, he said honestly, but if you're willing to consider it, I promise I won't waste it this time. Before Olivia could respond, Emma appeared beside them, her face alight with barely contained excitement. Professor Wilson from MIT wants to talk to me about their summer program for high school students, she said breathlessly. He said my ideas about quantum computing applications for climate modeling are impressively forward-thinking for someone my age. That's amazing, sweetheart, Olivia said. Go, Ryan encouraged. We'll be right here. As Emma hurried back to her conversation, Olivia laughed softly. Our daughter is networking with MIT professors at 13. She's extraordinary, Ryan agreed. But then, look who raised her. The way he said it, with such genuine admiration and respect, made something shift in Olivia's heart. This wasn't the ambitious young man who had seen her as an impediment to his success. This was someone who valued her strength, her accomplishments, her worth as a person separate from what she could do for him. Ryan, she said carefully, we need to be sure about this, for Emma's sake. I am sure. I've never been more certain of anything in my life. In Horizon, your company still needs you. My company has an exceptional executive team, a solid 5-year plan, and a founder who finally understands that success isn't measured by market share or stock prices. Ryan's gaze was steady. I'm not choosing between my company and my family this time, Olivia. I'm choosing both, but with the right priorities. Across the room, Emma was watching them with unconcealed interest, her conversation with the MIT professor momentarily forgotten. Our daughter is staring again, Ryan murmured. She wants a fairy tale ending. What do you want? Olivia considered the question carefully. I want to trust that this is real. That when things get difficult, and they will, you won't fall back into old patterns. That's fair. How can I prove it to you? Time, Ryan. We need time. He nodded, accepting her answer. I've waited 13 years to find my way back to you. I can wait a little longer to do it right. The music ended, and they stepped apart. But something had changed between them, a tentative bridge beginning to form across the chasm of their past. The following weeks saw subtle shifts in their family dynamic. Emma began staying overnight at Ryan's house occasionally, in a room she had redesigned herself with elements from both her parents, Olivia's architectural influence in the layout, Ryan's technological touches in the smart lighting and sound system. Ryan continued to restructure his professional life to accommodate his family priorities. He delegated more responsibility to his executive team, mentored promising young leaders within the company, and focused his own energy on strategic vision rather than day-to-day operations. Olivia watched these changes with cautious optimism. The weekly family dinners became more relaxed, their co-parenting more natural. Conversations began to extend beyond Emma, to include their own lives, interests, and memories. One rainy Saturday, 3 months after the gala, Ryan invited them both to his house for what Emma dubbed Nostalgia Day. He had unearthed boxes from storage, items from his and Olivia's early relationship that he had never been able to bring himself to discard. "I can't believe you kept all this," Olivia said, sorting through architectural sketches she had drawn of their first apartment together. "I kept everything," Ryan admitted. "Even when I thought I'd moved on, I couldn't bring myself to throw away the evidence that we had once been happy." Emma was fascinated by these glimpses into her parents' past. "You guys were so young," she marveled, examining a photo of Ryan and Olivia at his first company launch party. "We were," Olivia agreed. "Your father was just starting Horizon. I was still an associate at Williams & Thompson, dreaming of starting my own firm." "You both got what you wanted," Emma observed. "Just not together." The insight, so simple yet profound, hung in the air between them. "Not everything I wanted," Ryan said quietly, his eyes meeting Olivia's across the room. Emma, with the emotional intelligence that sometimes startled both her parents, stood up abruptly. "I'm going to go organize my project materials in my room. You two should talk." After she left, Olivia and Ryan sat among the scattered remnants of their past, each waiting for the other to speak first. "She's not subtle, is she?" Olivia said finally. "Not in the slightest. Gets that from me, I'm afraid." Olivia picked up a sketch she had drawn of their first house together, the mansion where all of this had begun. "I designed this house for our future, you know. Every room was planned with the family we would have in mind. I know. That's why I could never sell it, even after we divorced. It felt like selling the future we were supposed to have. And now?" Ryan met her gaze directly. "Now I'm hoping we might have a chance at a different future. Not the one we planned at 25, but something new. Something we build together, with Emma." Olivia was quiet for a long moment. "I've been thinking about what Emma said, about us both getting what we wanted, just not together. She's right, in a way. We both achieved our professional dreams. But I've realized something recently." "What's that?" "Success is lonelier than I expected it to be. All those nights working late on award-winning designs, all I really wanted was someone who understood both my work and me to share it with." Ryan moved to sit beside her, close but not touching. "I felt the same way. Standing on stage, accepting industry awards, looking out at a sea of business associates rather than family. It felt hollow. We were so young," Olivia said softly. "So afraid of losing our identities, our ambitions." "I was afraid of becoming my father," Ryan admitted. "Working a job he hated to support a family, resenting them for it. I thought I had to choose career or family. I didn't understand you could have both if you got the balance right." Olivia looked at him, really looked at him, seeing not just the successful CEO but the man who had grown and changed through painful self-reflection. "And now I understand that no achievement matters if you don't have people you love to share it with." Ryan took a deep breath. "I'm not asking for everything at once, Liv. I know we have years of hurt and mistrust to work through, but I'd like to start somewhere, maybe. Dinner? Just the two of us?" Olivia hesitated, then nodded. "Dinner? As a start." That dinner led to another and another. Careful conversations about the past, about their mistakes, about their hopes for the future. Olivia shared her fears about trusting again, about integrating their separate lives, about protecting Emma from potential disappointment. Ryan listened, acknowledged his failings, and demonstrated through consistent actions that his priorities had genuinely shifted. Slowly, carefully, they began rebuilding what had been broken, not the same relationship they had before, but something new, tempered by experience and strengthened by mutual respect. Emma watched this evolution with barely contained excitement, occasionally offering not-so-subtle encouragement. "You know," she remarked one evening as they finished a family dinner, "the guest house has plenty of room for Mom's home office. Just saying." "Emma," Olivia admonished, though her cheeks flushed slightly. "What? I'm just thinking practically. It would make custody arrangements much simpler." Ryan choked on his water, earning a satisfied smirk from his daughter. 3 more months passed. Seasons changed, the family settled into rhythms that felt increasingly natural, and the careful dance between Ryan and Olivia, evolved into something that looked remarkably like courtship, intentional, mindful, and deeply appreciative of each other's separate identities. You know she's going to keep pushing until we either get back together or explicitly tell her it's not happening, Ryan said one evening, as they watched Emma present her latest architectural model, a family home designed with elements from both her parents' professional styles. She's persistent, Olivia agreed. Like someone else I know. Is it working? Olivia's smile was small, but genuine. Maybe. But this has to be about us, Ryan, not just about making Emma happy. It is about us. It's about the fact that I've spent a year rediscovering all the reasons I fell in love with you in the first place, along with 100 new reasons I never knew before. Such as the way you've raised our daughter to be both brilliant and kind. The way you've built your firm on principles of sustainability and community impact. The way you can still make me laugh like no one else. Olivia's expression softened. And what about all the reasons it didn't work before? I was selfish, ambitious, and scared. I thought I had to choose between my dreams and yours, between success and family. I was wrong. Ryan took her hand carefully. I've spent a year proving I can be the man you deserve, the father Emma needs. I'll spend the rest of my life continuing to prove it, if you'll let me. Before Olivia could respond, Emma called out, Mom, Dad, what do you think of the rooftop garden design? They turned their attention back to their daughter. The conversation paused, but not forgotten. Later that night, as Ryan walked them to their car, Olivia hesitated before getting in. Emma, can you wait in the car for a minute? I need to talk to your father. Emma's eyes widened with poorly concealed hope, but she nodded and got into the passenger seat, immediately busying herself with her phone, though both parents could see her watching them through the windshield. Ryan, Olivia began, then faltered. What is it, Liv? I've been thinking about what you said. About proving yourself. About being the man I deserve. And I think I'd like to try again. Slowly. One step at a time. Ryan's heart soared, but he kept his expression carefully measured. What's the first step? Dinner. Tomorrow. Just us. A real date, not co-parenting discussion. I'd like that very much. And Ryan, this time we do it right. Open communication. Equal partnership. No sacrificing each other's dreams or independence. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. In the car, Emma was practically vibrating with excitement, though she pretended not to notice as Olivia got in and started the engine. Everything okay? She asked with forced casualness. Everything's fine, Olivia replied, but the smile tugging at the corners of her mouth told a different story. Emma glanced back at her father, standing in the driveway watching them leave. He gave her a small thumbs up, and her answering grin was blinding. Sometimes life gives us second chances we never expected. If you believe in the power of redemption and growth, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. The most beautiful stories aren't about perfect people, but about flawed humans who learn from their mistakes and find the courage to try again. The date was everything their early courtship hadn't been: honest, vulnerable, grounded in reality rather than fantasy. They met at a small restaurant overlooking Puget Sound, away from the tech scene where Ryan might be recognized, and the architectural circles where Olivia was known. I want to ask you something, Ryan said as they finished their entrees. And I want you to be completely honest. Okay. Why did you never tell me about Emma? Even after she was born? Olivia took a sip of her wine, considering her answer carefully. There were a lot of reasons. At first, it was anger. You'd hurt me so deeply, walking away like that. Then it was pride. I wanted to prove I could do it on my own. And later? Fear. Olivia looked out at the water, gathering her thoughts. Fear that you'd reject her like you rejected me. Fear that you'd want to be in her life, but only on your terms. And eventually, fear that she'd love you more than she loved me. The raw honesty of her answer left Ryan momentarily speechless. I wouldn't have rejected her, he said finally. I know that now. But then, you were so focused on Horizon, on becoming the next tech titan. A child would have been an inconvenience at best. You're right, Ryan admitted. I probably would have offered financial support, but kept my distance emotionally, and that would have been worse than not knowing her at all. She needed a father who wanted to be there, not one who saw her as an obligation. And now? Olivia looked at him, really looked at him. Now you're a different man. Or maybe you're the man you always could have been, if success hadn't blinded you. I regret what I missed, Ryan said quietly. Her first steps, her first words, teaching her to ride a bike. We can't get those years back, Ryan. I know, but we have now, and the future. Yes, Olivia agreed. We have that. As they left the restaurant, walking along the waterfront in the cool evening air, Ryan took Olivia's hand. The simple gesture felt both familiar and entirely new. Thank you, he said. For what? For raising an extraordinary daughter, for giving me a second chance I don't deserve, for being you, stubborn, brilliant, uncompromising you. Olivia smiled. I like the sound of that last part. You should. It's what I've always loved about you, even when it drove me crazy. Does it still drive you crazy? Yes, Ryan admitted, but in all the right ways now. When he walked her to her door, there was a moment, brief but electric, when they might have kissed. Instead, Ryan stepped back, respecting the boundaries they'd established. Good night, Liv. Good night, Ryan. Inside, Emma was waiting, pretending to be absorbed in a book, but clearly having stationed herself to monitor her mother's return. How was your meeting? She asked innocently. It wasn't a meeting, Emma. It was a date. Emma's eyes widened at Olivia's frankness. And it was nice. Olivia hung up her coat, fighting a smile. That's all you're getting. But, no buts. This is between your father and me. But it affects me too. Yes, it does. Which is why we're being careful. Olivia sat beside her daughter on the couch. Emma, I need you to understand something. Whatever happens between your father and me, it needs to happen because it's right for us, not because it's what you want. Emma's shoulders slumped slightly. I just want us to be a family. We already are a family. Different than most, maybe, but still a family. Olivia brushed a strand of hair from Emma's face. Your father and I are figuring things out. Can you be patient with us? I guess, Emma conceded. Then, with a hint of mischief, but can I at least know if there's going to be a second date? Olivia laughed. Yes, there's going to be a second date. Good, Emma said with satisfaction. Because I already have ideas for the redesign of Dad's master bathroom. The current layout is totally inefficient. Emma. What? I'm just saying, hypothetically, if you ever wanted to stay over. Go to bed, Olivia ordered, laughing despite herself. That conversation marked a turning point. With Emma's blessing made explicit, Ryan and Olivia allowed themselves to explore the possibility of reconciliation more openly. They began dating properly, dinner, movies, walks along the waterfront. They attended Emma's school events together, no longer maintaining a careful distance from each other. For Emma's part, she tried to give them space, though her enthusiasm occasionally bubbled over in the form of not-so-subtle hints and convenient disappearances when the three of them were together. One evening, about 3 months after their first date, Ryan invited Olivia to his home office, a space she'd never entered since reconnecting. I want to show you something, he said, gesturing to his desk. There, framed beside his computer, was a photo of Emma at her most recent chess tournament, accepting the first-place trophy. Beside it was a family photo, the three of them at Emma's school play, arms around each other, smiling. You keep our pictures on your desk, Olivia observed. Where I can see them every day. Ryan turned to face her. When I started Horizon, I wanted to build something significant. I thought that meant a company, a legacy in the business world. I didn't understand that the most significant things we build are relationships. Olivia moved closer, taking in the carefully arranged photos. This isn't just for show, is it? This is really who you are now. It's who I always should have been. Ryan hesitated, then opened his desk drawer. There's something else I want to show you. He withdrew a small, worn leather journal, the kind executives use to jot down important thoughts and ideas. I started keeping this the night I found Emma in the nursery. It's not a business journal. It's thoughts about fatherhood, about family, about making different choices. Olivia took the journal, turning the pages carefully. Each entry was dated, beginning with the night Emma had broken into the mansion. Some were brief observations. Emma's analytical approach to chess reflects the same patterns I use in product development. Nature or nurture? Others were longer reflections on missed milestones, regrets, hopes for the future. One passage caught Olivia's eye. Watched Olivia at Emma's science fair today. The way she supports E without overshadowing her, challenging while encouraging. I have so much to learn from her about parenting, about partnership too. You've been studying us, Olivia said softly. I've been trying to understand what I missed, what I threw away. Ryan took the journal back, his fingers brushing hers. Olivia, I know we're taking things slowly, and I respect that, but I need you to know that this isn't temporary for me. This isn't about easing my guilt, or even just about being Emma's father. This is about us, you and me, and the life we could build together. If you want that too. Olivia looked up at him, seeing not the ambitious young man who had broken her heart, nor the billionaire CEO whose face appeared on magazine covers, but the man she had always known he could become, thoughtful, compassionate, balanced. I do want that, she admitted, but I'm still scared, Ryan. Of what? Of history repeating itself. Of opening my heart completely only to find that when things get difficult, your priorities shift back to horizon. That won't happen. You can't promise that. Business crises will come up. The company will need you. Yes, it will. Just like your firm needs you. We both have demanding careers, Liv. I'm not asking you to compromise your work any more than I'm willing to compromise mine. Ryan reached for her hands. The difference is that this time, we make decisions together. We find solutions that work for our family, not just for our individual ambitions. That sounds good in theory, but in practice? In practice, we'll mess up sometimes. We'll disagree. We'll have to renegotiate, but we'll do it as partners, not competitors. Olivia smiled at that. We were always better as partners than competitors. We were. Ryan's gaze held hers. Liv, I'm not asking for an answer tonight. I just wanted you to know where I stand. I'm all in, with Emma, with you, with us. I think I've known that for a while now, Olivia said softly. Ryan stepped closer, drawn by something in her voice. And I think. Olivia paused, then smiled. I think Emma's going to be unbearably smug when we tell her I'm moving into the guest house. Ryan's face broke into a grin that erased the last traces of the guarded businessman. Just the guest house? For now. One step at a time, remember? One step at a time, he agreed, pulling her into his arms. The kiss that followed was 13 years in the making, tender but powerful, a reconciliation and a new beginning wrapped into one moment. When they finally separated, Ryan rested his forehead against hers. I love you, Liv. I never stopped. I know. That's what made it so hard to keep you at arm's length all these months. They might have said more, might have continued exploring this fragile new understanding, but the moment was interrupted by a text alert on Olivia's phone. She glanced at it, then laughed. It's from Emma. Are you and Dad Eva coming downstairs? The pizza's getting cold, and I've revised my presentation 3 times already. Impeccable timing, as always, Ryan said with a chuckle. As they headed downstairs to join their daughter, Olivia felt a sense of rightness, of pieces falling into place that had been scattered for far too long. This wasn't the life she had envisioned 13 years ago, but perhaps it was better, richer, deeper, more authentic for having been tested by time and circumstance. If you've ever wondered whether true reconciliation is possible after years of hurt and separation, hit that like button right now. And if you want to see how this family continues to rebuild what was broken, subscribe to my channel for more stories that remind us that sometimes, the most beautiful things come from second chances. The transition wasn't seamless. Moving Olivia's home office into Ryan's guest house took weeks of planning, design discussions, and logistical coordination. Emma's excitement occasionally veered into anxiety as the reality of her parents' reconciliation sank in. What if it doesn't work out? She asked one evening, helping Olivia pack books from her home library. What if you guys fight again and everything falls apart? Olivia set down the box she was taping and sat beside her daughter. That's a fair question, and the honest answer is that we don't know for sure what the future holds. But your father and I are both committed to doing everything we can to make this work. Promise? I promise we'll always be honest with you. I promise that whatever happens between your father and me, we both love you and will always put your needs first. Emma seemed to consider this. You know what's weird? I spent all this time wanting us to be a normal family, and now that it's happening, I'm kind of freaked out. It's not weird at all. Change is scary, even when it's change you wanted. Did you always know you still loved him? Emma asked suddenly. Olivia hesitated, surprised by the directness of the question. I think I tried very hard not to love him for a long time. But yes, in some way, I always did. Even when he hurt you? Even then. Emma nodded, absorbing this. Love is complicated. Very. Like, I love you both, but you both drive me crazy sometimes. Olivia laughed. That's family for you. The moving day arrived on a rainy Saturday in November. Ryan had hired movers, but insisted on carrying certain boxes himself: Olivia's architectural awards, her collection of first-edition design books, the family photo albums that chronicled Emma's childhood. As the three of them worked together, arranging Olivia's belongings in the newly renovated guest house, Emma observed, "This feels significant. Like we're building something, not just moving stuff." "We are building something," Ryan agreed, setting down a heavy box of architectural models. "A new version of our family." By evening, the guest house was transformed, Olivia's sleek modern furniture blending surprisingly well with the warm wood tones Ryan had chosen for the renovation. Her drafting table stood in front of the large bay window, positioned to catch the best natural light. Her books filled custom shelves built to her specifications. Her awards and professional certificates hung in tasteful groupings on the walls. "It's perfect," she said, turning slowly to take it all in. "Better than my office downtown." High praise from an award-winning architect, Ryan teased. "Well, I had input from another talented designer." Olivia smiled at Emma, who had spent hours helping with the layout plans. They ordered takeout that night, eating around the coffee table in the guest house living room, all three too tired to cook or even set a proper table. It wasn't glamorous: the billionaire CEO, the celebrated architect, and their prodigy daughter sitting cross-legged on the floor, eating pad thai from cardboard containers, but it felt right. It felt like family. Later, after Emma had gone to bed in her room in the main house, Ryan and Olivia sat on the guest house porch, watching the rain fall on the gardens. "Are you having second thoughts?" Ryan asked, noticing her pensive expression. "Not second thoughts. Just reflections. It's been a long journey to get here." "Too long." "Maybe not." Olivia turned to face him. "Maybe we needed those years apart to become the people who could make this work." "You've said that before." "Because I believe it's true. We were so young, Ryan, so focused on proving ourselves. I don't think either of us knew how to truly be partners then. And now? Now we've both accomplished what we set out to do professionally. We've proven ourselves to the world and to ourselves. We don't have the same insecurities driving us." "I still have insecurities," Ryan admitted. "Every time Emma asks me a question about her childhood that I can't answer, I'm reminded of everything I missed. Every time I see how easily you understand her moods, her needs, I wonder if I'll ever catch up." "You won't," Olivia said gently. "You can't replace those years. But you're building something new with her now, something equally valuable." Ryan nodded, acknowledging the truth in her words. "And with you?" "With me?" Olivia smiled. "We're building something new too, something better than before." The rain intensified, drumming on the porch roof, creating a cozy cocoon around them. Ryan reached for Olivia's hand, lacing their fingers together. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the storm, each lost in thoughts of the past and possibilities for the future. The following weeks brought new rhythms, new adjustments. Emma bounced between the main house and the guest house, often complaining about having to carry her things back and forth. "This two-house situation is inefficient," she informed her parents over breakfast one morning. "I've drawn up plans to connect the structures with a covered walkway. Very simple construction, minimal disruption to the landscape." Ryan and Olivia exchanged amused glances. "Is there something wrong with using the existing path?" Olivia asked innocently. "It's 37 steps, and it rains 152 days a year in Seattle." Emma replied with the precision that reminded them both of Ryan. "A covered walkway is the logical solution." "The covered walkway can wait," Ryan said. "For now, maybe you could just keep duplicates of your essentials in both places." Emma sighed dramatically. "Fine, but I'm maintaining my architectural plans for future reference." Neither Ryan nor Olivia mentioned that the guest house arrangement was temporary, a stepping stone toward whatever came next in their relationship. They had agreed to give themselves time to adjust to living in proximity before making any larger decisions. That time proved valuable as they navigated the complicated dance of two successful professionals, sharing space and parenting responsibilities while rebuilding romantic connection. They discovered new friction points: Ryan's tendency to work through meals, Olivia's perfectionist standards for household organization, but also new points of harmony. They found that they still complemented each other intellectually, challenging and enhancing each other's ideas. They rediscovered shared interests that had fallen by the wayside during their marriage: hiking in the nearby mountains, attending symphony performances, debating philosophical questions late into the night. Most importantly, they learned how to communicate more effectively, to voice concerns before they became resentments, to make space for each other's independence, while nurturing their connection. "You're different," Olivia observed one evening as they sat in his home office, reviewing Emma's school curriculum for the upcoming semester. "More patient, less driven by external validation." "Losing everything that really mattered tends to shift one's perspective," Ryan replied. "What about you? How have you changed?" "I'm more confident, more direct about what I want and need," Olivia smiled. "Less willing to sacrifice my own dreams for someone else's." "Good. That's exactly how it should be." 4 months after Olivia moved into the guest house, a major crisis hit Horizon Technologies. A critical security flaw was discovered in their flagship product, potentially exposing millions of users' data. The news broke on a Wednesday afternoon while Ryan was attending Emma's debate tournament. His phone began buzzing incessantly with urgent messages from the executive team. Emma was mid-debate, eloquently arguing the affirmative position on renewable energy policy. Ryan glanced at his phone, saw the developing crisis, then silenced the device and returned his attention to his daughter. Olivia, sitting beside him, had noticed his momentary distraction. "Everything okay?" she whispered. "Major security breach at Horizon," he whispered back. "The team's handling the immediate response." "Don't you need to go?" Ryan shook his head. "Emma's debate first, crisis second." Olivia's expression softened with understanding of the significance of his choice. After Emma's debate concluded, with her team taking first place, Ryan pulled her aside. "I need to go handle something at work," he explained, "but I wanted to see your victory first. You were brilliant up there." "Thanks, Dad." Emma beamed at the praise. "Is it the security breach in the quantum encryption protocol?" Ryan's eyebrows shot up. "How did you know about that?" Emma rolled her eyes. "Dad, I follow tech news. Plus, your company's stock just dropped 12% in the last hour." "Of course, you're monitoring Horizon stock performance," Ryan said with a laugh. "I should hire you for my security team." "Maybe next summer," Emma replied seriously. "I already have an internship lined up with Mom's firm for spring break." Ryan looked to Olivia, who nodded confirmation. "She'll be working on the sustainable housing project," Olivia explained. "Just 3 days a week, very structured hours." "Impressive," Ryan said. "Looks like my daughter is going to have a more diverse resume by 14 than I had at 25. "Our daughter," Olivia corrected gently. "Our daughter," Ryan agreed, the phrase still filling him with wonder after all these months. The security crisis kept Ryan working late into the night, but he made sure to send regular updates to Olivia and Emma. The next morning, exhausted but satisfied with the emergency patch his team had deployed, he returned home to find Olivia in the kitchen making breakfast. "You're in the main house," he observed, pleasantly surprised. "Emma texted that you'd been up all night saving the digital world. Thought you might need sustenance." "You're a lifesaver." Ryan sank gratefully into a chair at the kitchen island. "Where is our budding debate champion?" "Still sleeping. She was up late working on a new chess strategy." Olivia set a plate of eggs and toast in front of him. "How bad was the security breach?" "Bad enough to require an all-hands emergency response. Not bad enough to sink the company. We've patched the vulnerability and notified affected users." "And the stock price?" Ryan smiled. "Already recovering. You've been monitoring it too?" "I may have set up a Horizon alert on my phone, for purely architectural client research purposes, of course." "Of course." Ryan took a bite of toast, then looked at Olivia more seriously. "Thank you for understanding yesterday, about the debate tournament." "You don't need to thank me for being a good father to our daughter, Ryan. Not just that. For understanding that I can manage both, being there for Emma and handling the company, that I don't have to choose one over the other anymore." Olivia nodded, leaning against the counter. "I've watched you these past months. You found a balance I wasn't sure was possible. It's not always easy. The important things rarely are." They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes, the morning sun streaming through the kitchen windows. Ryan found himself studying Olivia's profile, the graceful lines of her neck, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when deep in thought. "Move in," he said suddenly. Olivia looked up, startled. "What?" "Move in. Not to the guest house. Here. With me. With us." Ryan hadn't planned to have this conversation now, exhausted from an all-night work session, but the words tumbled out. "Emma's right about the inefficiency of the two-house situation, and I'm tired of saying goodnight to you at the guest house door." "Ryan, I know we said we'd take it slowly, and if you're not ready, I understand. But I love you, Olivia. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want us to be a real family, under one roof." Olivia set down her coffee cup, her expression unreadable. "I have something to show you first." She disappeared into the hallway, returning a moment later with a large portfolio case, the kind architects use to carry important drawings. She unzipped it and carefully withdrew a set of blueprints, spreading them across the kitchen island. Ryan looked down at the plans, immediately recognizing their property. But the house depicted in the drawings was different from the existing mansion. It incorporated elements of the current structure, but reimagined the entire living space with a warmth and functionality the original design had lacked. "What is this?" he asked, though he already knew. "It's us," Olivia said simply. "It's our home, not the one we tried to build 13 years ago, but the one we could create now, if you want to." Ryan studied the plans more carefully. The master suite had been reconfigured to include both a private retreat for Olivia and a home office for Ryan, connected by a shared sitting area. Emma's wing included not just her bedroom, but a project space designed specifically for her interests in architecture, technology, and chess. The common areas were open, flowing, designed to bring the family together while respecting individual needs for space. "You've been planning this," he said, wonder in his voice. "Thinking about it, sketching ideas." "Yes." "For how long?" "Since the night you showed me your journal." Olivia traced a line on the blueprint with her finger. "I realized then that I was ready to move forward, not just with visits and family dinners, not just with the guest house arrangement, but with building a life together. A real life." Ryan looked up from the plans to find Olivia watching him, vulnerability in her eyes despite her confident words. "You redesigned our home," he said softly. "I redesigned our future," she corrected. "If that's what you want to." Ryan came around the island, to stand before her, taking her hands in his. "Olivia Turner, I have wanted nothing else since the moment I saw our daughter sleeping in what should have been her nursery. Yes. 1,000 times yes." Their kiss was interrupted by a sleepy voice from the doorway. "Does this mean I'm getting my covered walkway?" They turned to find Emma, hair tousled from sleep, looking at them with a mixture of hope and amusement. "No," Olivia laughed. "It means something better. It means we're rebuilding, all of us, together." Emma's eyes widened as she caught sight of the blueprints spread across the island. She moved closer, examining them with the practiced eye she'd inherited from her mother. "You're redesigning the house? Our house?" "Your mother is," Ryan clarified. "I just get to approve her brilliant ideas. And offer constructive feedback," Olivia added. "And fund the construction," Ryan finished with a smile. Emma looked between them, a slow grin spreading across her face. "So, we're going to be a real family? Living together? Not just mom in the guest house and dad in the main house, and me running back and forth between them?" "That's the plan," Ryan confirmed. "If you're okay with it." "Okay, with it? I've been trying to get you two back together for a year." Emma threw her arms around both her parents. "This is all I wanted, ever since I found those old photos." The three of them stood in the kitchen, arms around each other, blueprints for their future spread before them. It wasn't the ending any of them had expected when Emma first scaled the garden wall at 11:17 p.m. all those months ago, but it was the beginning they all needed. Sometimes, the most broken paths lead to the most beautiful destinations. If this story has touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. And let me know in the comments, do you believe in second chances? Have you ever found that the thing you were looking for was waiting for you all along? 1 year later, the security system beeped at exactly 11:17 p.m., a sound that once signaled an intruder, but now served as a nightly reminder of how their family had been reunited. Ryan had programmed it that way deliberately, a technological monument to the moment that had changed everything. "Right on schedule," Olivia murmured from beside him in bed, not looking up from the architectural journal she was reading. Some traditions should be preserved, Ryan replied, setting aside his tablet. The house around them was almost unrecognizable from the cold showcase mansion it had been a year earlier. The renovation had transformed it completely, warmth, functionality, and beauty now coexisting in perfect harmony, just like the family that inhabited it. Emma's wing featured a project room, where prototype circuit boards shared space with architectural models and chess strategies mapped out on a digital wall display. The kitchen had been expanded to accommodate family cooking sessions, a new tradition that had emerged unexpectedly when Emma developed an interest in culinary science. The formal living room had been converted into a multipurpose space where Olivia could spread out large-scale drawings, Ryan could conduct virtual meetings, and Emma could host chess club gatherings. But perhaps the most significant change was in the east bedroom, the room that had once been designed as a nursery but never used. It had been transformed into a family archive room, where photographs, mementos, and keepsakes chronicled their journey, not just the past 2 years since their reunion, but the missing years as well. Emma's baby pictures, her school awards, the milestones Ryan had missed but now honored as part of their collective history. The night's beep at 11:17 was followed by the soft click of Emma's bedroom door opening, then the padding of her footsteps down the hall. At 14, she was no longer the child who had broken into the mansion, but a teenager on the cusp of young womanhood, brilliant and complex and occasionally challenging in the way all teenagers are. She appeared in their doorway, laptop in hand. "I finished the presentation for tomorrow," she announced. "Want to see the final version?" "Now?" Olivia asked, glancing at the clock. "It's after 11, sweetheart. It'll only take 5 minutes, and I won't be able to sleep until I get your feedback." Ryan and Olivia exchanged glances, part exasperation, part amusement. 5 minutes, Ryan agreed, patting the foot of the bed. Emma bounded over, setting up her laptop to display a presentation on sustainable technology integration for urban housing, a project that combined her interests in architecture, environmental science, and technology. As she clicked through the slides, explaining her concepts with infectious enthusiasm despite the late hour, Ryan found himself marveling at the miracle of her existence, this perfect blend of himself and Olivia, this person who might never have entered his life, if not for her determination to understand where she came from. "What do you think?" Emma asked, concluding her presentation. "It's excellent," Olivia said. "Though I still think the solar integration needs more explanation in the third section." "Dad? I agree with your mother about the solar details, but otherwise it's impressive. Your teacher will be blown away." Emma beamed at the praise. "Thanks, I'll add more about the solar integration before class." She closed her laptop, but made no move to leave, settling more comfortably at the foot of the bed. "Was there something else?" Olivia prompted gently. "I was just thinking about something," Emma said, suddenly serious. "Tomorrow's the anniversary, isn't it?" "Anniversary?" Ryan asked. "Of when I broke in. The first time. It was exactly 2 years ago tomorrow." Ryan and Olivia exchanged surprised glances. They had been aware of the date approaching, but hadn't realized Emma was tracking it too. "You're right," Ryan said. "It is. Do you ever think about what would have happened if I hadn't done it?" Emma asked. "If I'd never found those old photos, or if I just asked Mom about you instead of breaking into your house?" "I think about it all the time," Ryan admitted. "I'd probably still be living alone in this house, thinking I had everything I needed because I didn't know what I was missing. And I'd still be protecting you from a truth I thought would hurt you," Olivia added, "while also protecting myself from the risk of seeing your father again." Emma nodded thoughtfully. "So my criminal activity was actually a good thing." "I wouldn't go that far," Olivia said with a laugh. "Breaking and entering is still illegal, even if it did lead to some positive outcomes in this very specific case. I prefer to think of it as forceful family reunion facilitation," Emma suggested with a grin. "That's not going to hold up in court," Ryan teased. "But in this case, I'm grateful for your facilitation. It gave me back everything that matters." Emma's expression softened. "Me too. I mean, I always had Mom, and she's amazing. But having both of you together, having a whole family, it's different. Better." "It is," Olivia agreed, reaching for Ryan's hand. "Okay, enough sentimentality for one night," Emma declared, standing up. "I'm going to fix the solar section, and then go to bed. Night, Mom. Night, Dad." "Night, "Sweetheart," they replied in unison. After she left, Ryan turned to Olivia. She remembered the exact date. Of course she did. She's your daughter, detailed, precise, never forgetting a significant data point. Our daughter, Ryan corrected, echoing the gentle reminder Olivia had given him so many times in the beginning. Our daughter, Olivia agreed with a smile. They settled back against the pillows, the security system's nightly beep having evolved from a simple alarm to the marker of a family ritual. Emma's late-night visits with questions, ideas, or just the need for parental reassurance before sleep. "I've been thinking," Ryan said after a comfortable silence. "Dangerous. Hilarious." He nudged her shoulder playfully. "I've been thinking about what Emma said, about breaking and being a kind of forceful facilitation. Please tell me you're not encouraging our daughter's criminal tendencies." "No, but I am acknowledging that sometimes, the things that seem like problems, like security breaches, turn out to be the greatest opportunities." Olivia set aside her journal to look at him. "That's surprisingly philosophical for a tech CEO. I'm more than my job title." "You are," she agreed softly. "So much more." Ryan reached over to the nightstand, opening the drawer to retrieve a small velvet box. "This isn't how I plan to do this. I had an elaborate proposal scheduled for your birthday next month. Catering, music, the works." "Ryan, but something about tonight, about remembering how we found our way back to each other, about Emma marking the anniversary. It feels right to ask now. In our home, in the quiet." He opened the box, revealing a ring that was nothing like the flashy diamond he'd given her in their first marriage. This was a work of art, a band of intertwined platinum and gold, set with sapphires that matched Emma's eyes, their eyes. "We're already living together," Olivia said, though her voice caught slightly. "We're already a family." "Yes. But I want to marry you again, Olivia Turner. Not because we need a piece of paper to validate what we have, but because I want to stand up in front of our daughter, our friends, and whatever higher power might be listening, and promise to love you better this time. To be the partner you deserve. To build a life that honors both our individual dreams and our shared ones." Olivia's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "You've been practicing that speech every day for the past month. Did it work?" Instead of answering, she leaned forward and kissed him, a kiss that conveyed everything words couldn't: forgiveness for the past, joy in the present, hope for the future. "Is that a yes?" Ryan asked when they finally separated. "It's a yes," Olivia confirmed. "But I have conditions." "Of course you do. Small ceremony. No society photographers. And Emma gets to be our best man." "Best woman," Ryan corrected with a smile. "Whatever title she wants. She earned it." Ryan slipped the ring onto Olivia's finger, both of them admiring how perfectly it fit, like the woman herself, elegant but strong, beautiful but functional. "We should tell her in the morning," Olivia said. "Absolutely not." Ryan laughed. "If we wake her up with this news, she'll be up all night planning the wedding. Let's give her at least one more night of normal sleep before unleashing her inner event planner." "Good point." They fell silent, comfortable in their shared understanding of their daughter's enthusiasm. The security system would beep again tomorrow night at 11:17 p.m., and the night after that, a constant reminder of how their broken family had been rebuilt, stronger and more beautiful than before. In the bedroom down the hall, Emma had indeed fixed the solar integration section of her presentation and was about to turn off her light when a notification pinged on her phone. The security system app, which her father had insisted on installing after her breaking and entering episode, showed movement in the family archive room. Curious, she opened the live feed to see her father entering the room. He moved to the wall of photographs, specifically to the section that chronicled the missing years, Emma's early childhood without him. He stood there for a long moment, looking at the images of birthdays and first days of school, milestones he had missed. Then, to Emma's surprise, he smiled, not a sad smile of regret, but a genuine smile of gratitude. He touched one photo briefly, Emma at age 5, missing her front teeth, grinning at the camera, before turning to leave. As he exited, he looked directly at the security camera in the corner and winked, as if he knew she was watching. Then he was gone, the room empty except for the silent testimony of photographs. Emma closed the app, smiling to herself. Her father knew she monitored the security feed sometimes, a habit formed during her breaking and entering phase, as they now jokingly called it. His wink was an acknowledgement, a private communication between them. She turned off her light and settled into bed, surrounded by the security of knowing both her parents were just down the hall, together, united, building the family that had always been possible but had taken a child's determination to create. The security system would beep again tomorrow at 11:17 p.m., just as it had every night since she first broke into her father's mansion. But now it wasn't a system to keep people out. It was a reminder that sometimes, the most important things need to be broken into with courage, persistence, and love. As she drifted toward sleep, Emma Turner Anderson, as she now officially called herself, reflected on how a simple act of childhood curiosity had changed everything. She had broken into a house looking for answers about her past, only to inadvertently create a future none of them had dared to imagine. Some things, she had learned, weren't meant to be broken into. Some things, like family, trust, and second chances, had to be built, carefully and deliberately, one day at a time. Emma closed her eyes, secure in the knowledge that tomorrow, and all the tomorrows after that, they would continue building together, not a perfect family, but a real one, forged from broken pieces into something stronger and more beautiful than before. In the master bedroom, the newly engaged couple fell asleep hand in hand, the ring catching moonlight from the window, a symbol not just of their reunion, but of the truth they had all discovered. That sometimes, what we think we've lost forever is simply waiting to be found again, in its own time, in its own way. And at exactly 11:17 p.m., the security system beeped one final time for the night, no longer a warning of intrusion, but a celebration of homecoming. Thank you for joining me on this journey of reconciliation and renewal. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to Lux Love Chronicles with Mr. Wentworth for more stories that explore the complexities of family, forgiveness, and the courage to begin again. Remember, the most valuable treasures aren't the ones protected by security systems. They're the connections we forge with those we love, even when the path to finding them takes unexpected turns. Until next time, this is Mr. Wentworth, reminding you that sometimes, the biggest mistakes of our lives can lead to our greatest blessings, if we have the courage to recognize them